Welcome to SVG Television News and Sports for Wednesday, March 26th. I'm Jimmy Prince with the details. In the news tonight, local authorities are investigating a fire on the waters earlier today which completely destroyed a yacht, killing a British national on board. According to the police, the incident occurred approximately 15 nautical miles west of Buckermont. The deceased has been identified as 53-year-old John Edward Garner, who was found with his British passport. A release from the police says at about 12:30 p.m. they received reports of a yacht on fire at sea off Buckermont. The Coast Guard services responded immediately to the report, and the deceased was found on a life raft with injuries to both his legs as well as his head. He was rushed to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The yacht is believed to be the Asante, which was registered in Gibraltar. The police say debris and oil were discovered at the scene, where it is believed the yacht sank. According to the police, preliminary investigations show that Garner arrived in the state on Sunday, January 19th, 2014, by air, along with a female companion, Heidi Hercules. He was granted an extension to remain in the state no longer than April 19th, 2014. The police say the whereabouts of Hercules is unknown, but checks revealed that she did not leave the state at any of the airports or seaports. In other news, St. Vincent and the Grenadines joined the countries across the Caribbean in a tsunami response exercise earlier today. Close to 20 state agencies participated in the regional exercise hosted by the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO. Zuleika Lewis was there and she filed this report.
Breaking news. At approximately 6 a.m., an 8.5 magnitude earthquake with a depth of 270 kilometers occurred on the southwestern end of Portugal. The earthquake generated a tsunami that requires a contingency plan. This was the hypothetical scenario circulated across the region. Here at home, members of various ministries, media entities, disaster management agencies and service providers were on hand to stimulate their response to the scenario given. Deputy Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Michelle Forbes, chaired the day's proceedings and explained that the exercise is being conducted to ensure that everyone is ready to respond in the event of a tsunami.
Today we are now doing what we call the Carib Brave 2014 exercise. It is a region-wide exercise. We have over 20,000 persons participating in the exercise in the region today. In the Eastern-speaking Caribbean, we have about 5,000 persons or agencies that have actually signed up for the exercise.
Forbes advised that if a tsunami is approaching, persons should evacuate to higher grounds and avoid areas along the coastline.
Well, basically, once the watch is in effect, you need to start moving away, staying away from the coastline. I shouldn't say move away. When the warning is given, then you actually start the evacuation. But once the watch is given, you need to start paying attention of not avoiding the coastline, not going out to sea if you need to, not going on the beach, avoiding the activities along the coastline, and basically move to higher ground. That's our first rule: move to higher ground, stay away from the coastline to save lives.
Meanwhile, Director of NEMO, Howie Prince, is cautioning persons not to underestimate the possibility of tsunamis affecting SVG even if the earthquake occurs miles away.
We remember that the observation was made that tsunamis, though the probability might be small of the occurrence in our part of the world, their impact can be widespread and very, very devastating.
Prince urged the participants to take the exercise seriously, as they might one day be called upon to put into practice what they learned.
Persons representing a particular agency or department come to these training exercises and that person did not or does not pass the information on to their departments. If you don't do that, then we are really doing an exercise in futility. You have to be able to brief your own people on what you have learned today, on what it is that are the requirements for their response to the particular eventuality and the scenarios that we will play out today. It is when you do that that we know or we believe that there is high level of success that we can attach to what we're doing.
The participants were also educated on their roles in tsunami planning, understanding tsunami hazards, as well as other presentations on aspects of tsunami preparation. For SVG-TV News, I am Zuleika Lewis.
Meanwhile, Deputy Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Michelle Forbes, says all of capital city Kingston will be impacted if a tsunami hits the islands. In an interview with St. Vincent and the Grenadines Television News, Forbes highlighted that Kingston and the communities in the Grenadine Islands are closely monitored as they are located along the coastline.
Yesterday we looked at Kingstown based on a Kikam Jenny tsunami, and we saw that pretty much all of Kingston will be impacted if we have any tsunami above 3 meters. 3 meters. So we have over Kingston, all the basically line areas. We're an island, and most of our communities are along our coast. A lot of our communities are along our coast. So we're looking at along the coastline.
Forbes further stated that other coastal villages must be on the lookout and seek to evacuate immediately in the event of a tsunami.
Calico, Canary area, that whole area, that's always being impacted. On the windward side, we have some other coastal communities also that can be impacted. And also, we now have facilities along the coast. We have hydro plants, and along with other windmill power plants also in the Lumens Bay we're looking at.
Over 100 persons are still in emergency shelters across the country following the December 24th trough system. Deputy Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Michelle Forbes, told SVG-TV News that the persons at 4 emergency shelters are being adequately cared for.
To date, we have just about 125 persons in 4 emergency shelters. It's at Rosebank, Spring Village, South Rivers, and Fitzhugh. We have been providing for the shelters since December the 24th and December the 25th, and I think we pretty much have it under control. We have weekly supplies that go to the shelters. If there are any dying need, they will communicate to us exactly what is needed, and we will do our best to basically meet those needs.
Forbes added that the number is expected to be reduced over the next few weeks as the restoration process is ongoing.
I know their homes under construction now, so we can see maybe in another couple of weeks we can expect persons to start moving out of the shelters. Some have actually started moving on their own. We have had churches that have helped persons doing some rebuilding in Spring Village, so bit by bit, and persons that continue to clean out their homes and move back. So as the weeks go along, we will expect persons to do the numbers in the shelters to start dwindling.
Well, the visually impaired here will benefit from a new set of equipment at the National Public Libraries. More when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The National Public Library Archives and the Documentation Services is the beneficiary of a local small-scale project from the Czech Republic. The contribution is said to value some $25,000, with the monies being used to purchase equipment and supplies to develop the National Public Library's multimedia room. According to a media release, the objectives of the multimedia project are to provide access to library resources and services to the visually impaired and to preserve the historical documents at the National Archives by creating a local repository for Vincentian records. The equipment will be used to offer information literacy programs to the public and braille services to the blind and visually impaired. The School for Children with Special Needs, Kingstown and Georgetown, and the National Society of Persons with Disabilities have been identified to use the equipment. There will be a handing over ceremony of the equipment on April 1st at the National Library beginning at 9 a.m. An 8-day training of trainers workshop dubbed 16 Now campaign under the Juvenile Justice Reform Project officially got started earlier today. The campaign seeks to strengthen linkages with communities and the families to provide support for parents. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Mobilization and Social Development, Jasmine Hull, says thus far the Justice Reform Project has helped the ministry to attain its goal of social development reform.
Project has helped this ministry to attain its goal of social development reform to further impact our children, families, and by extension, society. The Juvenile Justice Reform Project has afforded our ministry and this country the opportunity to engage stakeholders in the possibility of legislative reform, institutional capacity strengthening, modernization of programs, and strengthening of linkages with civil society organizations, allowing us to achieve a legislative review and harmonization of our laws, production of sector-based strategies, the procurement of skills-based equipment to strengthen our participating institutions while being able to rebuild our own.
Hall said as part of the project, they recently commenced the sports and anti-crime campaign targeting 16 communities, focusing on areas where at-risk youths reside.
Continues this weekend in Bible, Richland Park, Greggs, Layu, and Barley. While we anticipate the culmination of teams at the Arnoldville Sporting Complex to a competitive final on the 5th and 6th of April. We continue with an additional training of trainers workshop on April 2nd at the Foreign Affairs Conference Room through the CFCC initiative, that is Connecting Families in Communities campaign, aiming at sensitizing the public using different forums, reaching the nation over a 4-month period.
Meanwhile, the local coordinator of the Juvenile Justice Reform Project and facilitator of the Training of Trainers workshop, Marissa Burke, says the 8-day focus of the 16 Now campaign is to offer the basic training required for both parents and the children to better face issues in the negative environment. She says the participants will also seek to come up with a compatible approach to dealing with deviants.
The title, Understanding the Power of Positive Reinforcement to Improve Teen Behavior and Conduct Disorder. It's 16 communities in 16 hours lasting 8 days. Hence the reason 16 Now. 16 spelled out meaning supporting individuals and families with extra parenting techniques to improve their teens.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Project is supported by USAID under the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative. The project is focused on strengthening the sector through the application of reform measures that promote justice for children. The St. Vincent and Grenadines Boys Grammar School held a career day and exhibition earlier today which depicted various forms of employment. The students received a wealth of information from the representatives on hand at the different booths. Speaking to SVG-TV News, coordinator of the career fair, Edward Abrams, says following the exhibition, there will be an evaluation and they plan the fair next year. He added that the exhibition provides the students with a lot of information to make the best career choice.
Seems that the boys are having a good time and they are visiting each booth, and it seems it's really going as we expected. We would like to, at the end of today's activity, we're going to evaluate.
The students acknowledged that the fair will make it easier for them to decide on a career path.
I think it's a very good program because some people, when you farm to your law farms, you're not really confident of what you want to do. You just have all these different ideas just bungled up in your head. So this program, it will help you to see the different categories so that you could go see what it's about, see what different things you're doing, and initiate what you want to do and the differences in the business.
The National Society of Persons with Disabilities will be hosting its annual march and rally on Friday. The march will start from 10:30 a.m. at the Peace Memorial Hall, ending at the Victoria Park with a rally. The event will be held under the theme, Empower Persons with Disabilities Through Education and Training. The objective of the Friday's event are to raise funds for the Melanie McKenzie Educational Scholarship Fund, to heighten the awareness of persons with disabilities in this country, and to strengthen the relationship among organizations and institutions serving persons with disabilities.